Whataburger. My name is Carly. What can I get started for you?
Can I get the Pico de Gallo burger combo?
Alright, and what's the drink?
Sprite, please.
You said sweet tea?
Sprite?
Oh, Sprite. I'm sorry. And what else can I get for you?
That'll be it.
Alright, give me 909 second window.
Thank you.